Thank you, Dan. Welcome, everyone. It's 6 minutes after the hour of 6 a.m. It's Monday, finally Monday, August 26, 2019, 48 degrees outside. Shane Montalban, half man, half amazing, is on the line with me in Vancouver, British Columbia. How you doing, man? Did you have a good weekend?
Yeah, well, the weather didn't really help. It was not very nice. But, it's the end of the summer, so you just have to see the trees starting to turn. Everybody else is starting to turn.
Oh,
Kids
yeah?
are going back to school.
Wow.
Everybody has that end of summer attitude. You know how that is. Get out of my way. I got a week left.
Yeah. Christmas is around the corner. I got to start shopping already.
Yeah, right.
Where's the sale on the big screen TVs?
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, our weather today, we're going to be sunny with a high near 70, still well below our average for August. Wow, 70 degrees. We should be in the 90s or hundreds or whatever, but we're at 70. Tonight, mostly clear with a low around 41, also pretty low for this time of year. That's only a few degrees above freezing. So 41 degrees, not well, but good sleeping weather, though. That would be good.
I gotta tell you, we drove back yesterday through the Valley Highway 7 from Hope to Vancouver. And it's a back route. And the corn was like 8 to 12 feet tall. I've never seen corn this
monstrous, huh?
Yeah.
It must be the cooler temperatures, I guess. I don't know.
I saw or something's got to be, man. It's amazing.
Well, on Tuesday, we're also looking for a high near 74, and Tuesday night, clear with around 47 will be the low for Tuesday night. Wednesday, sunny and a high near 85. That's a little more normal for us this time of year, and calm winds. And then Wednesday night, we're going to have a low around 53, so that's a little bit better, a little more normal for us this time of year. And on Thursday, rain moves in. We got about a 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms after 1 p.m. It'll be in the afternoon on that day. High will be near 80. And then Thursday night, also thunderstorms and showers hang around. And we'll have a low of around 52 on Thursday night. And then Friday, chance of showers before 7 a.m. for your commute to work. Then a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms after the noon hour. And we're looking for a high of 78 there and an overnight low of 52 with, again, a chance of showers and thunderstorms before 1 a.m. So that'll get you up to speed on your week here. Our poll question of the day, which of the following do you enjoy doing most? And we got a whole bunch of ideas here for you. In the lead right now with 33% outdoor activities. And reading and family time and listening to the radio and playing video games are all tied for second place at the moment. But we just started the poll recently, so we'll check in on that one. Our poll from yesterday, if you had a $20,000 shopping spree, where would you go? Well, other won. 44% was other. And some of the things were Michael's, Costco, new car, bank, Buffalo Wild Wings, another car, another bank, Costco, pay off some serious debt, Frontline, or the John Deere store, rather, Simpkins Howland, gun store, Home Depot, Amazon, and Kenyon Noble. So those were some of the other places where people would blow 20 grand if you had 20 grand shopping spree. Where would you go? So where would you go, Shane, if you had 20 grand to just blow? Actually, you'd only have about 17 to blow. But
I'd go to the coin store. I'd go buy some silver coins.
Silver coins. Going to buy some silver coins. All right. Good investment, huh? I guess that'll be right. Temperatures.
I do not need any more stuff, okay? I do not need.
You got enough stuff, huh? Yeah.
I have.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah, you got one of those gold toilets and all the stuff. Yeah, you got it all, man. Temperatures around the area right now, we're looking at 46 degrees in Livingston. Manhattan's 44, Three Forks 44, Gallup Gateway's 47, Ennis is 46, Big Sky is 38, and at the airport over in Belgrade it's 48 degrees. We're right at 48 degrees here as well at 10 minutes after the hour of 6 a.m. on Monday. Ooh. Whole week ahead of us. All right.
And only one day away from your favorite day of the week.
That's right. Yeah, I can't wait till tomorrow. Gosh. Whew.
Tuesday.
Yeah. Well, on this date in 1847, Liberia was proclaimed an independent republic, and who cares, Shane?
Well, it's sort of sad, actually, in one way, and then remarkable in another. It's on the west coast of Africa, between Sierra Leone to the northwest and Guinea to the north, Ivory Coast to the east, and the Atlantic Ocean to the south. Interesting, 43,000 square miles, not very large, about 5 million people with, amazingly enough, the principal language is English. There's over 20 indigenous languages because it's all tribal. But it came about because the American Colonization Society, set up by Northern abolitionists in the United States, believed that black people would face a better opportunity back in Africa with their own country. So the United States seized the land and allowed blacks to leave the United States and set up their own country. So, all this talk about African Americans in the United States not doing anything for Africa, there's been a country there since, well, between January 7th, 1822 and the American Civil War, more than 15,000 freed blacks or legally freed blacks, basically had little less rights in the U.S. And 3,198 Afro-Caribbeans relocated to the settlement. And the United States didn't recognize it right away until after the Civil War. But this all happened before the Civil War. That's what these dates are so amazing.
Mm-hmm,
January 7th, 1822. Becomes independent July 26, 1847. And then finally on February 5th, 1862, they recognize it. But it's a commodity-based country, unfortunately. And, obviously corruption and all that has had a lot of effect on the country. 6.5 billion GDP, which is nominal. And regrettably, $704 income average for the people. So
wow. Yeah. No, not great, that's for sure.
Not a successful event or experiment, no.
Yeah, as it could have been. Yeah.
Yeah, it could have been. That's right.
Yeah. 1910, on this date, Mother Teresa was born. Agnes Galahaya Bajaksu.
Wow, boy, you got that one right.
In Macedonia.
Yeah, and
why couldn't she have been Joan Smith?
Well, that's why she changed her name to Mother Teresa. Actually,
apparently, yeah.
She was an Albanian Indian, so that's the sort of Eastern European, and ran a missionary, as everyone knows, in India. She was born in Skopje, the capital of North Macedonia, which was then part of Kosovo of the Ottoman Empire. So she was born a Catholic into the Muslim, Near East at the time. Yeah. And she, at 18, moved away, went to Ireland and joined the church. And, the rest is history, with the exception that what she did for the people of India was quite remarkable. And I love this story. Of all the stories about her, I love. She had her own business card with 3 telephone numbers. She had 2 cell phones, and the phone number to where she had her place in India, for people to call for donations. Don't forget me. Don't forget me. Here's my business card. Call me. Call me.
Call me with your donation. Huh?
Yeah, she met every important person in the world. She did receive the 1979 Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah. And
she was canonized on the 4th of September 2016 by the Catholic Church. And in 1962, she received the Ramon Magsaysay Peace Prize of India, which is, pretty well like, it's sort of like India's Peace Prize. I mean, it's recognition of an individual's work.
She should have changed her name to Jolene Olstein, and then she could have got big bucks.
Well, if she had, she wouldn't have been on the show today.
Well, that's true, yeah. Well, in 1939, Major League Baseball was televised for the first time when an experimental station, W2XBS, broadcast a doubleheader between the Cincinnati Reds and the Brooklyn Dodgers at Ebbets Field.
Yeah, and
what a day.
It took place in 1939, as you said, at the World's Fair.
Yeah.
And, so it was a doubleheader. And it's just sort of a fascinating thing to check out, I mean, Edward Day Schreck, who was the guy, the TV executive from ABC, who had this idea. And he's the guy who started Wide World of Sports. Remember Wide World of Sports in the morning?
Sure.
And remember they had that Olympic...
Thrill of victory, agony of defeat.
And the agony of defeat was the guy doing the jump at the Olympics that went on the rail.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And like for 20 years they played that.
Yeah. Skier going head over heels down the slope.
Anyway, it was a huge success. And of course, the most amazing thing about it is to put this together, they actually had to put in force, all the contracts, or not contracts, but the various television networks, both broadcast and cable, had to work out the rights fees and announcers fees and team fees, and who would call the games, and with the approval of the Major League Baseball team. So
yeah, it was a big deal. It was tough to get it rocking and rolling, but. Yeah, now they're still doing the same thing today. There's, although contracts are probably more stabilized, they're not as off the charts as they once were, but are all over the place. So
well, and I think this is another thing about streaming we got to be very cautious to watch in the next several years, because again, there's not going to be any massive billion-dollar network sports contracts for football, basketball, and baseball, because.
Yeah, who's gonna? Well, unless they're going to be covered on streaming services, and then they may pay for it. But
and of course, you'll pay that streaming service. But if not enough people sign up, they can only pay. Yeah,
That's what I say. It's going to be. They're going to compete for that contract, just like CBS, NBC, and CBS do now, or ESPN included. So. Yeah.
Well, without advertising, though, that's the whole thing about streaming. People pay for Netflix and there's no advertising. So now you got a problem, right?
That's it. All right. Speaking of people we got to take care of, we got to take care of the farmers and ranchers and all those folks. Yeah, we'll go get them all taken care of here. So here's your Montana news in agriculture. 24 minutes after the hour, it's a Monday, August 26, 2019, 49 degrees outside. Looking for a high of only 70 today, so it's going to be nice and cool out there. So be careful wherever you're on your way to. It could snow. It could, ice and.
That's right.
Any of those things, can happen.
One of those ugly weather conditions you don't want to talk about.
No, I don't want to even think about it, because only a couple months away from that.
Oh, that's right. You have to change your tires,
Oh.
You have to get out that windshield, de-icer.
Yeah.
You got to put those 4 bags of salt in the trunk of your back of your car. I mean, come on. This is all work.
It just never ends. It never ends. Well, on this date in 1957, the Soviet Union announced that it had successfully tested an intercontinental ballistic missile. And can you imagine if they had that in World War II, how that might have changed the whole complex of the war, having an intercontinental ballistic missile? They had the V2s or VJs or whatever they were.
Yeah, that was the Germans,
Yeah, they had whatever.
But I was reading about this. It just amazingly shocked me. They started this work in 1955 when a guy by the name of Sergei Korolev was funded by the Russian government to develop the ICBM, Intercontinental Ballistic Missile. And so he developed the R-7, and the first launch took place on the 15th of May, 1957, but it crashed 250 miles from the site. The next successful one was the 21st of August, 1957. it flew over 6,000 kilometers, 3,700 miles. So,
Wow.
it put the North American continent at risk. But the one thing I don't think people realize is that this R-7 rocket was the one that put the Sputnik into space on the 4th of October, 1957.
Mm.
And I was fascinated by it because space as a technology, as an interest, was developed in pre-World War I in the Russian Empire by a Konstantin Tesselovsky, 1857 to 1935. He was the guy who originally published engineering papers about space flight, a Russian,
Wow.
not Germans, not Americans. And you go down and you check out the firsts, like the list of ambitious, successful things and notable firsts in the space. It's very amazing, Tom. I mean, from 1957 to 1968, it was all Russia.
Yeah.
No one hears this. You would think the United States was first in intercontinental ballistic. Nope. That was the Redstone. They used the Redstone rocket they were developing for ICBMs, for Mercury. But real quick, just to give you like 10. First satellite, first animal in Earth orbit, first rocket ignition in Earth orbit, first data communications, first man-made object to pass near the moon, first probe to impact the moon, first images of the moon's far side, first animals to safely return from Earth, first probe launched to Venus, first person in space, first person to spend over 24 hours. And the list goes on and on of their first, all the way up until 1988. And then what happened in 91, 92.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It all came tumbling down.
Yeah. Well,
They
had a long run. I remember we were devastated when the Sputnik went up. They were winning the space race, and we thought they'd have weapons up there, and all kinds of stuff was going on. And we were in the midst of the Cold War, and oh man, it was a scary time. It really was. Yeah. All right, that wraps it up for this portion of the KMMS Morning Show with Tom and Shane, and we'll be back with a couple more things on the day in history. But we've also got to cover the University of Montana has a transgender runner. Oh, my God. I don't know where this stuff's going to end. But anyway, we got to talk about that when we come back. And some other things. We got new buildings coming up in Bozeman again, so we'll be chatting about that. And stuff going on in Livingston, 5 things you need to know, and all of those things coming up. So stay tuned. We got a lot to do this morning. And, of course, we got to talk about Trump and China. And the markets have exploded with the news that China made 2 calls. They want to come back to the table. So we'll see how that plays out. So all that coming up right after the news at the bottom of the hour. Stay tuned. All right, it's 23 minutes before the top of the hour. It's Monday, August 26, 2019, 48 degrees outside, and it is... well, we're looking for a high of 70 degrees today. Shane Mataba, half man, half amazing in Vancouver, British Columbia. Tom Eagleoff, your morning mayor. And this is the KMMS Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. And if you'd like to reach us, it's easy. 522-TALK, 406-522-8255. You can text us at 406-478-8298. Or you can app chat us with the AM 1450 KMMS phone app. You can email us at tom@kmmsam.com. So there's no reason not to get involved in the KMMS Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane.
Or you can sit back with your coffee and just listen.
And you can listen. That's the other option. Yeah. In 1961, on this date, the Hockey Hall of Fame opened in Toronto. Why would the Hockey Hall of Fame be in Canada? You haven't won a Stanley Cup since 1950, or I don't know.
94?
I don't know.
50
I don't know.
50 years? No, yeah, it's like 50 years.
I mean, Las Vegas won 1 year. Come on. I mean, what are you doing?
What can I tell you?
The Ducks won.
Americans love hockey, There's 32 teams, and there's only 4 in Canada. Like
Yeah, I know.
6.
Yeah.
Oh, 6.
What
I'm
do you
sorry,
got?
6.
Yeah, what do you got? Toronto, Montreal, you got the Edmonton, and what else you got up there?
Vancouver,
Quebec?
Winnipeg.
Yeah, the Winnipegs. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I don't know.
Very sad. You
Does anybody
stole our.
show up for hockey even in
Oh
Canada at
gosh,
all?
yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. But we want to repatriate the Grey Cup home, have our own series.
Yeah.
You guys can name a cup for your teams, and then we can play for another cup. Like
like the Canadian or the American Cup. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the Canadian winner plays the American winner, and for some World Cup of hockey or something.
Yeah, I think that America's Cup's already copped by some boat group.
We covered that with yachting.
Yeah, right. Well, in 1964, President Lyndon B. Johnson was nominated for a term of office in his own right at the Democratic National Convention in Atlantic City, New Jersey. And, of course, Johnson took over when Kennedy was assassinated.
Yeah, not a big fan of yours, and because, this was the age of the Vietnam War and the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution, it was passed in 1964 during the election year.
Mm-hmm.
But my gosh, he went from 16,000 advisors in 1963 to 525,000 men in 1967 in Vietnam. And
yep,
you can speak.
I was one of those.
Yeah.
I was one of those. 66 and 67 was there.
Then, that's right. And then by 1968, the party had disintegrated into a chaos because of it, and he didn't run again. And and then Humphrey ran at the great 1968 convention in Chicago. We all know that. Yeah. Against Nixon.
Yeah, 1,500 people injured and a bunch put in jail and everything, and all kinds of demonstrations. And this was when demonstrations were non-political, because I don't think a whole boatload of Republicans showed up to
That's right.
at the Democratic convention to protest the Vietnam War. I think all parties were there, black, white, Asians, you name it. They were there. That was back in the days when people actually saw a cause, and it didn't matter what political spectrum it was in.
That's right.
And I remember, all through the Bush administration down here at the courthouse, we were doing Saturday radio. Every morning I drive, past the courthouse, and here'd be about 6 people out there with their signs, get Bush warmonger and all that, and get out of Iraq. And as soon as the day after Obama was elected, boom, they were gone. They were not there at all. I mean, that war just suddenly became, now it's his war, so we'll go home.
That's right. Yeah, it was an age of compromise, in your country, but certainly not today.
No, not today, that's for sure.
No. Yeah.
All right, we got to take a quick break. We've got all kinds of things to talk about here. The Northwest Ford dealers want to talk to you. LifeLock wants to talk to you. Mercedes-Benz wants to talk to you. We got cars and food here, Shane, so let's rock and roll. We'll be back right after this. 13 minutes for the top of the hour. It's a Monday, August 26, 2019, 47 degrees outside. We're only looking for a high of 70 today, so a little cooler than we're used to in August, but we'll take it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to get some higher temperatures later in the week, but for the moment, we're in cool mode.
Yes, exactly.
Let's see on our poll question of the day. Which of the following do you enjoy doing most? Family time, outside activities, and other are tied. And then we've got playing video games and reading and watching TV and listening to the radio and playing sports are tied. So get over to KMMSAM.com or AM 1450 KMMS on your phone app, and vote in today's podcast, or today's poll, rather, should say.
There you go.
Whatever. Getting confused here. And speaking of our podcast, we are at 1,379 downloads, only 21 downloads away from 1,400, Shane. 1,400 downloads of these shows. And
wow.
Pretty amazing. We're extremely grateful to everybody out there for supporting the show and downloading our episodes and listening in on the parts you missed. And we're just grateful for that as we can be. Let's see. 1974 on this date, aviation pioneer Charles Lindbergh died at the age of 72. He was the first person to fly solo across the Atlantic, 33 hours, landed in Paris, France.
That's right. We shouldn't forget that Alcott and Brown, Americans, flew the first Vickers Vimy bomber in 1919, but it was a dual flight in a bomber. His was a single engine.
Yeah,
wow.
Right. Yeah. So
33 and a half hours, 3,600 miles. He was awarded the Medal of Honor. And, of course, he was a hero at the time, obviously, both in the United States and Europe. Was 25 when he did this. Wow.
I know. Yeah. He was just
he was a youngin', but he lived to 70. Yeah, lived to 72 at a state funeral, in 1974. And, of course, the biggest story of the century was the kidnapping of his child. And
crime of the century.
That was a crime of the century. So, wow, what a story.
Yeah. Bruno Hauptmann.
That's right.
The guy who supposedly, they think he might have been railroaded, but at any rate.
That was a very long ladder.
Yes, it was, yeah. 1978, Cardinal Albino Luciani of Venice was...
Albino.
It's albino. A-B. A-L-B-I-N-O. That's albino.
Oh, my gosh, you're great.
Well, at least I got Luciani correct.
Yeah, that's true. You did.
Venice.
You did. Yeah.
He was elected the 264th Pope of the Roman Catholic Church and took the name John Paul I.
That's right, and was only in office for 33 days. He was the first Pope to be born in the 20th century.
Yep.
His reign was the shortest in papal history, and resulting in what they called in the Catholic Church the year of three popes, because they had three popes in 1 year, which hadn't occurred since 1605.
Wow.
And the last succession of such popes was Clement VIII in 1523. So anyway, quite fascinating. We all know the story. John Paul II from Poland became the next pope, and he took it. He was the first pope to have two proper names in his name for the two previous popes before him. So there you go.
All right. We got to take another quick break. We'll be right back with more right after this. 4 minutes before the top of the hour. It is Monday, August 26, 2019, 47 degrees outside. Shaman Taubman, half man, half amazing, on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia. Tom Eagle, your morning mayor in the house, and this is the KMMS Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. And in 1986, on this date, in the so-called Preppy murder case, 18-year-old Jennifer Levin was found strangled in New York Central Park. Robert Chambers later pleaded guilty to manslaughter and served 15 years in the pokey.
Yeah, he was convicted of manslaughter, which is quite amazing in regards to this story. But it was sensationalized by your media, which is always a strange situation in your country, considering how many murders there are, right? But, it was in the great city of New York, and as you said, Central Park. So it's one of those things that it creates panic, right?
Yeah.
And it's similar to what they're talking about right now with the media talking about a recession. If they bark about it enough and convince Americans to stop spending, it's sort of the same thing. It has the media has a way of influencing people psychologically, and this was one of those. And this kicked off years and years of sensational murders that were reported and followed up on.
Yeah, it was big news at the time, and boy,
Yeah.
everybody was into it, um, and it was it was quite a it's quite a deal. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and the thing is, they caught this guy because of drug charges.
Mm-hmm.
Brought him in, and under questioning, he supposedly admitted to the murder. But it's just one of those situations that changed the conscious of your country and the way they reviewed these type of murders. It was a big game changer because of television and radio.
Mm-hmm. Well, it certainly was, and around the same time in 2001, Gary Condit and Chandra Levy, that was another one that
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
caught the national attention. So this was just a couple of years after that, or a couple of years before that, I should say,
Right.
and that I think the notoriety of this murder led to. Plus, you got a congressman involved,
That's right.
in an affair situation. So that was even more exciting for the news media. If it leads, it bleeds, or if it
Ooh.
bleeds, it leads. I'm sorry, one of the
Yeah,
two.
yeah, and that's where that saying came from. Was back
Hmm.
in the early
Yeah,
'60s.
during that time, yeah. Well, on this date in 2003, investigators concluded that NASA's overconfident management and inattention to safety doomed the Space Shuttle Columbia as much as damage to the craft. And they had a seal blow or something that blew the thing up and killed everybody on board. And it was quite a, I don't know, it was big news at the time.
It was,
Mhm.
the thermal protection system on the space shuttle failed on the outer skin, as you said. One of the
Mhm.
you know the heat blocks fell off, and so it burned a hole in it. But it flew 27 missions over 22 years, and unfortunately, on that day as they were re-entering, it disintegrated over Texas. I mean, they actually have video of
Mhm.
it. It was
Yeah.
very
Oh
sad.
yeah, it
Yeah,
was a sad deal. Yeah.
yeah.
Birthdays of note: Albert Sabian, born on this date, developed the oral polio vaccine. All of us older folks who grew up with the fear of polio were great to see that come along. And Peggy Guggenheim, the Guggenheim Museum, of course, born on this date in 1898, American art collector and patron. So, all right, we've got to get out of here for a couple of minutes. We got news at the top of the hour and Montana State News and Fox News and Brooke Foster with the weather. We come back, we'll talk about Trump and China right after this. Thank you, Dan. 4 minutes after the hour. It's Monday, August 26, 2019, 48 degrees, 48 degrees outside. Not sure where that came from.
Yeah.
48 degrees outside, looking for a high of 70 degrees. I haven't had anything to eat this morning, so I don't know what's going on with my uh, digestive tract. So, apparently over the weekend, China blinked, Shane. They called twice, not once, twice, to get talks back underway with a threat of higher tariffs yet again from the president on September 1st. And looks like we're coming back to the table. So that those increases may be diverted, at least for the time being. And we'll see, because he had threatened to go from 25 to 30% September 1st. So
Well, that's right.
on many items, yeah.
And look, the background of this and the cause is three things. Number one, their GDP growth has collapsed. They were having anywhere from 6 to 8% GDP growth a year. Now it's under 6, probably even lower than that, because it's fascist government and they're lying.
Yeah,
So
they're not gonna tell their true numbers. Yeah.
exactly. It's around 3 or 4. They've lost over 2.5 million jobs because of these tariffs. 20% of the companies reporting they're moving out because their factories are now 30 years old, and if they're not going to build new ones there. They want to go somewhere else. So, of course, your president's going to say, "Come home to America, and we'll give you tax breaks and the whole shebang, and build what you built there here in America." But the fourth thing that's really key is the Politburo. There is really no Politburo in China. It's a fascist country. And Xing is the chairman of the Central Military Commission. So the People's Liberation Army is 2,035,000 with 500,000 in reserve. So a 2.5 million police force. That's what it is, a police force. But this, you need to hear these names because this is really important. The first ranked vice chairman of the Central Military Commission is Zhu Qilang. Second ranked vice chairman of the Central Military is General Zhang Yuka. And the Ministry of National Defense is General Wei. And finally, the chief of the Joint Staff Department is General Li Zhoushen. Now, the key about these other four guys is they run the country with the People's Liberation Army. They control all the industry along with Xi. They own all of it. Like, they have their regional generals. Like
they're gangsters, in other words.
Exactly.
They're the organized crime of China.
And they don't know how to handle Hong Kong because if they go in and make a mess of it, like Tiananmen Square, which Ping did back in the 80s, there could be an immediate collapse and 400 million Chinese running in the streets. You know?
Exactly. Yeah. So
screaming and yelling with sticks. Yeah. So they're on their knees, baby. Your president's really put China on their knees. Wow, it's amazing to watch.
Yes, it is. Let's take a phone call. 522-TALK is the number, 522-8255. Caller, you are on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
This is Clint.
Hey.
Good morning, good sir.
Good morning, Shane. What's going on out there in Vancouver?
We're talking about China because we have to.
I don't want to talk about them. Hell with them. All of them. I got something kind of important. Do you guys need a massage?
I don't. I've never been a big fan of massage.
Well, the thing is, what I'm saying is, Tom, if you come out to my place where they're putting in the new sewer plant, they're driving some steel in there for a cofferdam, I believe.
Okay.
They're using a hydraulic hammer.
Yeah.
On a great big excavator, and if you lay down on the ground, you can get a massage.
Well, all right. Well,
you mean it's better than one of those motel vibrating beds? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Oh, hell, I think it'd be better than that. It shakes all the stuff off of my renter's shelves and everything else. So I thought I'd tell you that.
Well, I don't know. I've always felt if I was going to pay somebody to touch me, they were going to have to do more than just rub my shoulders.
Why, sure, me too. We better be careful here. We get in trouble.
That's true. The wife is probably listening, Yeah, she is. Well, the thing I really called about is that I wanted you to know you could get a massage out here. Okay, good.
And the main thing I wanted to talk about is this. Have you, either one of you, figured out what is happening to the water down there at Worden and Ballentine? And they can't use it for at least a year or so. And I can't find out anymore, and I was wondering if you two guys could. It's just it's east of Miles City. It's where they are, where the towns are.
Well, boy, not really a clue on this end. We can certainly do some looking and see what we can find. What we can find. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, do some looking and then report it, would you?
Sure. Yeah.
Because it's really I don't know. I was thinking about all of it, and. Of course, is the Yellowstone River the only one that comes out of Yellowstone Lake, or
yes,
is a fire hole come out of there? I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I know Yellowstone Lake, their fishing bridge, I believe it comes out, and then you've got Gardner. They have their sewage goes into the river, and then you go on down to Livingston, and the Livingston sewage goes into the river, and then you go down to Big Timber, and theirs does. On down to Columbus and Laurel, all them, and Absaroka, all them go into the river, all the sewers. And they're taking it out and retreating it here and there. I know Billings does. But I was wondering if the pollution maybe is coming out of the park or if it's coming from the sewage systems. I'm not a computer guy, and my wife is. And she's been looking, and I don't know, she ain't found too much. But I was wondering if you two guys could find something to see what the hell is polluting that water. Water is my main thing. I really cherish water,
Sure.
Because we all live and die by it, if we ain't careful. But I was kind of curious if you two smart fellas could, you're a whiz on them computers and see what the hell's going on. And in the meantime, out here in Montana, out here at the Four Corners, it's nice this morning. Beautiful day. I think we're going to have some nice sunshine for a while. We're having a beautiful fall. You can't beat that.
We are, yeah.
And people are still doing fishing. I was over on the Madison yesterday mowing grass over there, and I come by the river, and God, it was full of floaters. And I seen this one floater. This may kill you. It's a great big pink swan. Have you guys ever seen them guys floating in them damn things?
No.
It's a great big, kind of like a big balloon, and people inside this, and the swan must be 10, 15 feet high, the neck and the bill. And then they had a bunch of little things alongside of it for, like, their hatchlings or whatever. Mm-hmm. And anyway, I thought it was kind of cute.
Yeah.
That's what's happening around this country, and they're floating the hell out of the Madison. They're fishing it, and everything's going pretty good so far. But I just wondered if somebody would want to comment on that water deal. I'd sure like to hear some more about it.
All right. We'll check it out and see what we can find for you.
And in the meantime, Trump is doing his job. People are hindering him. People are talking bad about him. And he's trying to do the best job he can. And most people don't realize he don't need the damn money. He don't need the prestige. He's trying to do it for us, the American people. And most of the American people don't understand it. So, but they got to have an IQ to understand it, Mm-hmm. So, anyway, I thought I'd throw that in there. Maybe we'll sell China some more wheat sometime.
All right.
I think Trump should. I think Trump should announce he wants to buy China.
Yeah. They said that when Stewart bought Alaska, they called it Stewart's Folly. Okay, it wasn't a folly because look what's happened with it.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not going to say one way or the other. If Denmark wanted to sell Greenland, fine. If they didn't, we wanted to buy it, and our Congress agreed to it, fine. But I think we got a huge national debt, and I think we better take care of that before we buy anything. I don't think we're ever going to take care of it. Shane, you're a man of money.
He is.
What do you think, Shane? What do you actually think about this national debt that we got?
Well, your politicians are looking at the baby boomers because they have $37 billion in assets, and that was why one of the big thing about the tax cuts that was so important is he got rid of the death tax because they had initiated a death tax of 50%, and they figured, that'll take care of the debt. So,
and it hasn't.
Two things are important in the world of money. Which if we go back talking about China again, we'll talk about a bit, but it's with your interest rates that they are, it's marginalized. The Fed's in a position to backstop anybody that sells any debt now globally. They can buy all of what China's got or Japan or anyone else. So I think you're fine. It's just a matter of managing it and paying the interest.
Well, we're paying interest basically to ourselves, really.
Well, of course.
The thing that bothers me.
When I was a kid, it was called kiting, remember?
Yeah. Well, the thing that bothers me so much is, Tom, you and I and everybody else in this valley's got to balance a checkbook. And if they have one, and we have to pay our credit card bills and stuff, we have to do that. And if we don't, they'll come after our homes or they'll garnish our wages or whatever. What about the federal government? And they're using us for the security, I guess, of the debt and the real estate that we have in the United States. Which is quite a bit.
Sure.
I imagine this is the security for all this. And of course, Trump at one time before he became president, I've said this before, that he did a study to see what the America and land and everything it produces was worth, and it come up about $252 trillion. And that's a lot of money. Are we borrowing on that? What are we borrowing on? What
the faith and security of the United States of America.
Well, the thing is,
And we're the world currency. That's the big.
Yeah.
That's the big reason we can borrow.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
And we got more gold than anybody else.
well, I don't know about that.
Well, we do. We do.
India's
We do. We do.
Yeah, we do.
Or you do, yes.
India's the biggest buyer of gold, and I think the one that has a lot of gold is probably India and Russia.
Mm-hmm.
They have a rent.
The great thing about the United States, you have the most gold in the world, but you hold 30% of everyone else's gold as well.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Well, I think it all melted when the Trade Center went down. I think
No.
in the bottom of it, they said there was a lot of it melted.
Well.
And then I don't know if there's any in Fort Knox anymore.
Yeah.
So
I don't think there was any gold in the World Trade Centers.
Yeah, in the bottom. Oh, yeah.
No, I think it was. It's at the Treasury. It's.
No, it was gold.
Well, in fact, and we did a thing on the actual safe they have down there, but it's not. It's not under the World Trade Center.
Yeah.
Well,
it's under the It's under the Reserve Bank.
It's the New York National Reserve Bank.
I don't know.
Yeah, and they got
that's
four.
What I heard.
Well,
I don't know. Maybe somebody can straighten me out here a little bit.
Well, we're trying to.
Well, that's a good thing.
we got 4 football fields of cash under there too.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, that's good.
What disappeared at the base of those buildings were bearer certificates, because the largest traders of U.S. Sovereign debt were in those buildings.
Mm-hmm.
And bearer certificates mean if you have 100,000 U.S. bond, it's a bearer certificate. You can take it anywhere and turn it in for cash.
Mm-hmm.
So they've never taken what disappeared after that off your debt. So there's probably was a good $2 or $3 trillion in bearer certificates at the bottom of that.
Yeah.
But no one talks about it because. It's one of those things we don't want to go there.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I just thought I'd mention it, seeing somebody else can talk about this a little bit, and we get things. We'll get a little smarter, maybe. I'm kind of a dumb guy, but anyway, I try to create a little bit of controversy here with some of these real smart people.
All right.
And so, having said that, now I better get off the air.
Yep.
So,
I gotta go.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. We'll be right back after these important words. 21 minutes after the hour of 7 o'clock. It's Monday, August 26, 2019. Let's go to the phones. 522-TALK is the number. 522-8255. Caller, you are on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
This is Milk Toast Not. Daniel R. Peterson. I have another person that's not a milk toast that I want to talk about. Roger Roots. I've mentioned him before. He's running as the lieutenant governor with Ron Vender. I don't know much about him, but I have a great respect for Gianforte, but the Libertarians shake things up, so I think I'm going to vote for them. But I want to say something about Roger Roots' book. I sat with him, talked with him, and bought his fat book. This has been a more radical state. Now it's kind of a milquetoast state, a kind of a meek state. A lot of people know about Janet Rankin, but because she voted against the First World War and the Second World War, and there were there are a few other radical voices around her time. And Bernie Sanders came for another radical place, New York City. He ended up higher in New England, but there were some Montana radicals that expressed themselves, but now it seems that Montana's pretty running with the pack. I think we should break out and say something that will make us show our strength, because this is a strong state. Why be a milquetoast state?
Okay.
Okay.
Works for me.
Well, good. Works for me. Eye to eye.
All right. Thanks for the call.
Okay.
Let's see. Worden and Ballentine use a clear water well system, which pulls groundwater from deep below the surface, treats it with chlorine, pumps it to residents' homes. Nitrates have shown up in the area's water sporadically for years, but never in alarming high amounts. It wasn't until 2012, so 7 years ago, Shane, that levels begin to be problematic. Testing that year found 5 milligrams of nitrate per liter in groundwater, and moving up to 2019, residents in the Worden Ballentine district are being told to drink bottled water and not consume tap water. An advisory was issued on Tuesday by the State Department of Environmental Quality, warning residents the water produced by the water district is no longer safe to drink. The district was already under an advisory to keep infants from drinking the tap water due to elevated levels of nitrates, and the new advisory now includes all residents but doesn't point to a specific containment. The problem for the water district has been groundwater that somehow has come in contact with contaminated surface water. So we don't know how that's happening at the moment. So that's the latest we have. We've not had any luck finding the source of this contamination, said the Worden Water District, and it's been testing the water regularly to monitor the level of nitrates. A month ago, the DEQ and Water District tested the groundwater for microbiological agents, and the results of which came back this week, and the test showed contaminants in the water, but all of them are treatable by chlorine. And the worry is that some kind of contaminant not treatable by chlorine could get into the water before it's detected, since the source of contamination is still unknown. So that's an update on what's going on with Worden and Ballentine. Let's go to the phones. 522-TALK is the number. Calling you on the air. What's going on?
Morning, gentlemen. This is Jerry. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Fine, sir. The Firehole River, if Clinton is still listening, originates behind Old Faithful. And it merges with the Little Firehole River, Iron Spring Creek, and then it flows down towards Madison Junction, merges with the Gibbon, and then hits the Madison. That's basically the topography over there.
Excellent.
It's great fishing too. If anybody wants to, get in there, it's good fishing. Although you're going to have to pay. You have to pay for a park fishing license. And one more thing, some candidates seem to have thrown their hats in the ring on both sides. Did you hear about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if
Joe Walsh just jumped in on the Republican side.
Joe Walsh?
Yeah.
Wasn't he the lead singer for the James Gang?
He was. No, he was. Well, he was the lead singer for the James Gang, and he's also with the Eagles. But this is a different Joe Walsh.
Oh! Thank goodness.
He was in Congress for a time. So.
Oh yeah, he was the one that said President Trump doesn't know what he's doing.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah.
Well, you advertise a sponsor, ZipRecruiter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that all those politicians or those the DNC and the RNC, they ought to contact ZipRecruiter for a qualified candidate.
I would think so. I would think so. Yeah.
That's very good. I'm sorry. That's just too funny.
We keep hinting.
I just don't see anyone out there that's qualified. Do you, gentlemen?
No.
No.
Well, not on the Democrat side, at least. I can't wait for the next debate so they can see how totally ridiculous they are. But
and I heard another thing too. For all those global warming alarmists, don't worry. It's President Obama just bought a home on the Cape.
Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah. Very close to the beach. So obviously he doesn't believe that the sea levels are going to rise. Otherwise, he's going to have water in his living room.
Exactly right.
That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
All right, man.
Thanks.
Excellent call. Thanks for the.
Bye.
From our text line, 478-8298, national debt is not a problem. $4 trillion more. Who cares? Our kids will deal with it. We need $25 more in our pay. Well, the national debt is no problem. We can easily pay the interest on the debt, And in fact, in World War II, our GDP was 125%. So we didn't pay it off. We outgrew it.
That's
Reagan and Newt Gingrich created a balanced budget for Clinton and surplus for Clinton. And, we've been fine ever since. I always say my parents stuck me with a highway system and the space program. So I'm none the worse for wear from those things. So I think I'll be okay.
Yeah, and people, just so you know, by 1998, under those conditions, the U.S. stopped issuing 30-year bonds.
Yeah.
So the most popular bond became the 10-year bond,
10-year
what
bond.
they quote now.
Mm-hmm.
And the first year that Bush was in, and of course because of what had happened with the market, 9/11, they started reissuing the 30-year bond again.
Yeah. All right, we got to go. We'll be right back with more right after the news at the bottom of the hour. Stay tuned. It's another Manic Monday here at KMMS, as it is every Monday, I guess, huh, Shane?
Exactly.
Exactly. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. All right. Let's see from our text line. He's running for president because Joe Walsh says life's been good to me so far. Good to him so far. Can't believe that even for a second the caller thought that it could be the same Joe Walsh. Now, that's funny. All right. Let's see. A little on Joe Walsh, for those of you who aren't familiar with him. He is an American conservative talk radio host, former social worker. That should tell you a lot about what you need to know. And a politician. He served one term in the United States House of Representatives for Illinois' 8th Congressional District. He's 57, Republican, and his successor is Tammy Duckworth, which should also tell you all you need to know about the 8th District of Illinois. But let's see, been married a couple times, and University of Chicago, University of Iowa, Grinnell College, been to several colleges, looks like, and he also apologized for past racist comments while announcing his plans to run. So I guess he's in Trump's league then. If we're gonna call Trump a racist, we might as well have a racist contender, challenger for him. So his role, he addressed his role in stirring racial rhetoric in politics in the past while announcing his intention to challenge President Donald Trump in the Republican primary. So I guess we'll find out where that goes. Walsh went on to offer his opinion of Trump. He's nuts. He's erratic. He's cruel. He stokes bigotry. So, yeah, I don't know. That's the common theme of the Democrat Party. We of course wish Joe all the best.
That's right.
Yeah. So.
Well, I think the problem that your media has, the biggest problem your media has with your president, is he's making issues talked about, and he's making issues important that are, and he's attempting to have discussions about issues that people should have been talking about for the last 20 years. And they don't, particularly the Democrats, they don't want to talk about any of that.
Yeah, there you are. From our text line, wasn't Joe Walsh the lead cop in a murder case years ago? I don't remember that, but could be. I don't know. Well, let's see, and we should probably do a little on local news here. The time we've got left, we've got a cross-country runner at the University of Montana, assigned male at birth, but identifies as female. So, apparently taking anti-estrogen or testosterone suppression and estrogen pills as part of his or her morning regimen to train for running in the cross-country. So, I don't know. Somebody's going to have to make a determination here as to who can do this stuff, particularly in sports. You know,
Well,
so.
My confusion with this, and of course, not being a very intelligent individual, I'm easily confused. But
Yeah.
you would think that the way this would work is if a person wants to be transgender, right?
Yeah.
Then that's fine. But they remain competing with what their gender is. I mean, if they, if, the thing is, everything that they have, all the drugs they have to take to qualify as a transgender are all illegal to use in sports.
Well, certainly a lot of them, I think, would be. You can't enhance your physical being, either
That's right.
one sex or the other.
That's
so I don't know how that comes into play, but anyway, that's
Yep. I don't know how you make a determination in that situation without looking at what are the rules? If the rules say you can't use certain drugs or you're disqualified, then how can they qualify to compete if they're breaking those rules? That doesn't make sense.
That I don't know. All right, we got to take another quick break. We'll be back with more right after this. 15 minutes for the top of the hour. It is Monday. It's Monday, August 26th, 2019, 52 degrees outside. Shane Matabin, half man, half amazing, on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia. Tommy Galoff, your morning mayor. And this is the KMMS Morning Soapbox. And from our text line, so Joe Walsh is just an ordinary average guy picking up dog doo, hoping it's hard.
There you go.
I don't know. Let's see. Regarding the transgender runner, the feminist asked for this. Feminist says they're good enough to play in men's sports. Well, it looks like men are good enough to play in female sports. The women's professional soccer team can't even beat 15-year-old boys, and they're bitching about how much they get paid and when they get paid more than the men do. Well, I don't think they get paid more than the men do, but they do generate more income than the men do from their TV and all the other stuff. So, let's see. Yes, Trump is thinking about all the most important issues like Greenland. Well, I don't know if he was thinking about Greenland, but could be an interesting acquisition to the U.S. So, well.
Well, look, you and I, it's not easy for you and I to come up with subjects every single day, 5 days a week to talk about.
That's true.
So can you imagine being in the White House with a guy who's up, 18 to 19 hours a day and wants to talk about things? I mean, every day there's conversations that he wants answers to.
I was going to say, I don't know why he just doesn't call in every morning and give us, the what dumb things he's going to say today.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, in other news, we talked about new construction going on around Bozeman. It never seems to end, Shane, but we're getting a mixed use building coming to West Babcock, and I hadn't had a chance to see the Black Olive building. Remember, we had the Black Olive controversy.
That's right, yeah.
Back way when that thing is so huge. I mean, man, oh man, I went by there to drop something off at the post office thing in the back. You drive up and drop your letter in or whatever, and this thing is huge. But anyway, a pair of new mixed buildings are coming to West Babcock, bringing higher density housing in that area, called the W&H Babcock. 5-story structure will be located in the 1600 and 1700 block of West Babcock, and the name of the building is a nod to one of Bozeman's prominent historic districts. William H. Babcock, through developers, have consulted local historians and still can't find out what the H stands for in William H. Babcock. So,
wow,
I don't know. Maybe it stands for hotels or. Although the buildings will come to 163,000 square feet, they're separated by a driveway. The two structures will be sisters and share similar designs, and both the ground floors will have flexible commercial space and parking garages. containing 49 spaces, and there will also be 56 parking spaces in lots outside the building. So they're going to take your advice, Shane, put a little underground parking in there and some above ground parking. So on the second through the fifth floor, there'll be 94 for sale units altogether, with one building's fifth floor dedicated to an indoor and outdoor common space.
Wow. How amazing is that?
Quite a deal. So,
and something to talk about.
Prices haven't been finalized yet, but I'm sure they're going to be low-cost housing for the whatevers. I don't know.
Yeah, they're going to be very reasonable.
I'm sure they'll be reasonably priced with all the amenities they've got there. So, yeah, I'm sure they'll be next to nothing. So, you can hop in there and get it. So, they hope construction will begin toward the end of September, beginning of October. They estimate they will start moving people into the building in the spring of 2021. So you got that to look forward to. If you're looking for housing, you've only got a couple of years to wait.
So on the campus of the college, are there many endowment lands left to build on?
I don't know. It seems like they've got an awful lot of land around there. Yeah. So, I mean, they put up more and more student housing.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't think they're going to run out of land anytime soon. So that's where we are. But, all right, we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back right after this. 7 minutes before the top of the hour. It's Monday, August 26, 2019, 54 degrees outside. From our text line, Tom, may I please have a 5-minute-a-week segment on your show devoted exclusively to telling relevant political jokes to your listeners? Otherwise, I could call in on break and try my jokes on Shane when he's a captivated audience. What do you think? Well, that's from Steve-O. Steve-O, even with our delay, I doubt if I'd want you on the air doing political jokes. I don't know if that's going to work or not. Oh, let's see. Could you change the name of your show to whatever with Tom and Shane? You say that word about 10 times an hour and no one ever knows what it means. Do I say whatever too much? I guess I must.
No, I don't think so.
Well, whatever. No. So...
Oh, whatever, yeah.
H is the 8th letter of the alphabet. We're talking about whatever his name was, H. Babcock. H is the 8th letter of the alphabet, stands for Hitler. Trump is building that building. It's all his fault, not my conspiracy, just playing on it's got to be Trump's fault crap. So
very good.
That must be it. What happens when Dennis Rodman comes out of retirement and takes over the WNBA? That's a great league for retired and washed-up NBA players that blew all their money, and that could very well be the case. So, all right. So that brings us up to date on our text line. Hey, don't forget our app chat. You can also right next to the listen button on your smartphone is the app chat button. You can just pop over to that, never miss a part of the show, and get that, send us a message directly to us with the app chat. It's a great way to converse with us, so make sure you use it. Oh, let's see. In other news we need to chat about, the high school, Shane, due to low interest rates, is going to cost $35 million less than originally forecast. So the taxpayers are going to be off the hook for a little bit. For a typical $300,000 home, you'd be assessed about $250 a year. So that's about 10 pizzas, I guess. If you want to add more pizzas to your to your property tax.
But shouldn't your property tax go down in equivalency?
Well, I don't know. But anyway,
if it's going to cost $35 million less,
yeah,
that should be passed on to the taxpayer.
Right? I would think it should. Well, it's supposed to be a savings. So when we write the final bill, taxpayers aren't going to be charged the extra 35. So. Yeah, savings to taxpayers, $35 million, says Steve Johnson, Deputy Superintendent that thanks to low interest rates, the $125 million debt that voters agreed to take on to build the high school, the second high school, and renovate Bozeman High will cost taxpayers one-third less than estimated during the 2017 election. So I guess that's a good thing. So the interest rates on the bonds have tanked so much that, we're doing well.
Of course you are.
Yeah, the interest rate on the bonds, 2.098%. So 2% on $125 million. I guess we don't have to pay as much as we thought. So,
well, I find that amazing. Everyone talks about your president. Words mean something, and I can't believe how many people over the weekend I heard stuff like, it's a trade war.
Yeah.
And the President Trump is having a war with the federal chairman, Fed chairman. Mm-hmm. And it's just these people, they spend more time trying to angst, and get that blood story going out there, right?
Yeah.
Very sad, very sad.
Well, I think it's interesting if it's true that the Chinese want to come back to the table. That says a lot about what's going on and how what effect this stuff is having on them, along with Hong Kong and everything else. Xi is in. He's kind of in it to these gangsters. They want this thing ended.
That's right.
They're losing money hand over fist, and they're not going to put up with him being president for life. That's up to them. It's going to be up to the generals whether or not he's president for life, I think.
Exactly. And one of the biggest problems is that, the Hong Kong government's deposits held by the Chinese government's deposits held in Hong Kong in their banks is $1.1 trillion. That's why Hong Kong is the key to all this right now for Hong Kong.
It really is, yeah. Let's see, from our text line, 478-8298, they'll come back and say they need the $35 million operating expenses. Well, he probably will, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the school is bigger than we thought, so we need 18 more custodians and another couple of administrators in there, so. Yeah.
And it's so big they need golf courses to drive around in.
Right, that'll be it. That'll be the next expense probably, so. Well, that is pretty good news. At least it's nice to see that something's coming in under budget. Every time we do a law and justice center, every time we did the jail, it cost more. So it's good to see at least one thing maybe that we voted for that we're actually going to save some money on. That's right. That's a pretty good deal. So we'll have a high school for a third less than we thought it was going to cost us. So that's thanks to, I guess, Trump's trade war and the weakness of the bonds, we're in good shape. So, hey, thanks very much for the $35 million gift. And we won't have as many pizzas as we used to have. So, let's see, from our text line, they'll just spend that $35 million on some other stuff. Not stuff, of course.
Of course.
Of course.
Not stuff.
All right. We'll be back. We've still got a full hour of open lines to go. Anything that's on your mind, we'll talk about it. We'll be back right after news at the top of the hour. 6 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock. It's Monday, August 26, 2019, 54 degrees outside. Shane Matavin on the line from Vancouver, British Columbia. Half man, half amazing. Tom Eaglehoff, your morning mayor in the house. And this is the KMMS Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. And, Shane, we had a big barbecue competition here over the weekend.
All right.
And, they had a pretty big deal there. In fact, our own Michelle Wolf from the Moose was one of the judges there. So she got to taste some high-quality barbecue over at Kenyon Noble on Saturday. They're competing in the Governor Steve Bullock endorsed state championship. Ooh, I guess it's got to be endorsed by the governor for it to be any good. So, but anyway, participants cooked up their best chicken, pork, ribs, pork and brisket, and all kinds of stuff. So it was quite a good time had over there by all. And they still don't have the results in yet. Hopefully they'll have them in today. They've got a world class and a few if you get to a certain point, then you get to go to the Kansas City Royal or Royale, either or, which is the biggest barbecue competition in the world. So winning this, you get an automatic entry in there. So sounds like a good deal. So that was a good thing going on. So, and Four Corners, they're building the treatment plant that Clint has talked about forever. They'll have a second wastewater treatment center there to handle the area's growth. Four Corner, a water and sewer district, approved the sale of bonds to help pay for $8.2 million building, which is scheduled to open next year and will be located near the intersection of Huffine Lane and U.S. Highway 191 in the Rainbow subdivision. So you'll want to make sure and buy land there right next to a wastewater treatment plant. Let's take a phone call. 522-TALK is the number. Call you on the air. What's going on?
Hey, Tom and Shane. It's Vivian calling from Arizona.
Hey, Vivian.
You're still having fun on the radio, I see.
I haven't heard from you in years. You used to call us all the time on Saturdays. And
yeah, we kind of got filtered out. But, hey, I'm up here studying secondary education in mathematics, trying to get another degree, and you guys are still funny. Shane, you're still out there. That's great, man.
Well, Shane's phone just went south, so you can, all right, now you can tell him again.
Hey, Shane, you're still there, man. Hey, Canuck.
Indeed, darling, always.
Hey, listen, though. Remember the Saturdays when we said, don't vote Obamacare? Were we wrong, Tom?
No, we weren't. I don't think so.
Hey, listening to you from northern Arizona, up here in the White Mountains going to school, and just wanted to call in. I love your Airstream. I love our technology now. So
yeah.
You guys sound good.
Well, thanks very much.
Hey, do yourself a favor. Let a few crazies talk on your phone. I mean, you let me in. So
that's true.
Let somebody.
Well, hey, all views are welcome here.
Let somebody call in and, hey, I'm so sorry you're getting stuck with all these new buildings. You know, it's just so sad. But, hey, love you guys. I'll let you go.
All right. Hey, thanks for the call. Really, that's appreciated. Vivian used to call us all the time on Saturday, Shane, if you remember.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah. Let's see. From our text line, 478-8298. What are the terms of surrender for the trade war with China? Free trade is not an answer. What must they do? Intellectual property is an issue, not. Well, I'm sorry, intellectual property is an issue. Also, they need to give up, whenever you do business in China, you got to give up all your designs and everything else to them, and that's got to go. So that's not going to work. And,
Waitwell wouldn't exist today if they hadn't stolen Apple's technology. So
I was going to say, that's kind of the way it's going. So don't think intellectual property isn't worth something. We're talking about everything that's done, everything that Microsoft does with Windows and all of their programs, everything Apple does with their programs, all that stuff is no longer proprietary information if you're in China. So, you've got to... what Apple does, they make some of their stuff there and some of it somewhere else. So at least China can't copy everything they do. So yeah, it's a big deal. Let's see, a trade issue. Trump talks about trade deficits. Well, that's exactly what was going on before, where we had tariffs on our stuff going into China. They had zero tariffs other than agricultural products coming in here. So that had to go because it was $800 or $900 billion a year of trade deficits that went on forever ever since probably Reagan or before.
That's right. And the other big thing is access to their banking system.
That's true, too.
They need to allow other banks around the world to compete in their country as well, and they don't want that.
Yeah. Well, that way they can control and manipulate their currency if they have all the banks. So that's the issue there. So that's another thing that we want in the trade issue is they're going to have to open up more of their global reach to us and other countries.
That's correct. Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
Yeah. Too bad Trump didn't run against Bill Clinton. He is right, and it might be too late. Well, I don't know. I hope it's not too late. I've lived through 13 presidents and it hadn't been too late for any of them. So I managed to get through Obama with a minimum amount of damage. So hopefully I'll get through Trump with a minimum amount of damage. So
well, if you call this damage, it's a pretty amazing damage that's going on, right?
Well, there's no question the tariffs are damaging to farmers and some other industries, but in the long run. And I point out all the time during World War II, our grandparents and our parents sacrificed sugar and coffee and rubber and nylon and all sorts of things that, could have been, they could have certainly refused to give up, but they voluntarily, to help the effort of the soldiers and everybody. So.
And no new cars for 3 years.
Yeah. Well, that's true too. Yeah. And even baseball players, Ted Williams went in the military. Actors in Hollywood went into the military. I mean, that was a sacrifice that was being made back then, turning their back on millions of bucks and, taking a $20 a month gig. I don't think so. So we'll find out how this all comes out. I don't know that you can make a deal with China, Shane. I just don't. They've never upheld any deal that they've ever made that I'm aware of, and I just don't understand how this is going to play out.
Well, that's the other aspect of what he wants. He wants a criteria in the treaty of penalty. Mm-hmm. If you don't follow the rules or you break the rules, there's going to be an immediate, penalty to it. And they don't want that. They're scared to death of that. But, it's like the contrast in what people say about Trump and this economy he's created. And you're listening to the Democrats debate about the new Green Deal. But no one asks them this simple question. So how many jobs are going to be lost? Because if they shut down the airline industry alone, that's 20 million jobs. Mm-hmm. If they shut down farming and agriculture and the farmers and cattlemen, that's 22 million jobs. I mean, you're looking at close to 50 or 60 million jobs that would be lost about this demolishing your economy and supposedly rebuilding it for the good.
Yeah. From our text line, 478-8298, you read my text wrong. I said intellectual property is an issue, not a trade issue, and Trump rarely speaks of that issue. He always talks about deficits. By the way, GM sells 70% more cars to China than anywhere else in the world. So what are the terms of surrender? Buy more soybeans? Buy more soybeans would certainly be helpful. Japan has picked up some of the deficit that we're going through from the tariffs.
That's right.
They've opened some markets over there to help us out. And, there's no question GM sells a lot of cars in China, but, starting in September, a car in China is going to cost 25% more. So,
that's right, exactly.
So, that's certainly not helpful to a GM, but
no, no, that's right. Well, the bottom line is that he's initiating, and as we've been talking for 2-3 years now, new trade routes around the world. He wants fair and balanced trade. No restriction, no barriers, and no taxes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. President dodged the draft by paying a doctor to write a note for bone spurs. Didn't stop him from playing football. Well, as somebody who's gone through the military physical, I will tell you that there isn't any note that anybody's going to write to a military doctor that the guy has bone spurs and can't. Exactly. That's not a serious enough thing to get you out of the military, I don't think. But anyway, I'm as having gone through the that time, they were taking everybody.
That's right.
I mean, we're sending everybody to Vietnam, and bone spurs would not, a doctor's note would not have done it. Now, if the military doctor found bone spurs, they may have said okay. But I have bone spurs, and it's painful. It's not a good thing. But I went to the doctor. He gave me some stuff I put in my shoes, and that's how it works. So pretty easy. Made a stone thing of my feet, and created this thing, and slips in your shoe, and it works. So there you are. That's my personal experience with bone spurs, and my personal experience with going through the military. They do everything to you. Yes. The airport is a walk in the park compared to what they do to you when you go into the military.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we'll take that on. So, all right, we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back right after these important words. Stay tuned. 21 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock, it's the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. And in other news, we've got two mountain lions shot in separate towns here recently, Shane, in Montana. We've got the Hungry Horse News reported Wednesday that a resident near River's Edge Park in Columbia Falls shot a big cat after it was prowling around a house on August 17th. And Columbia Falls police said they shot a second mountain lion in the same area. The wounded cat ran away, but they feel confident it probably died. And says the mountain lions were shot because their presence in a residential area threatened the safety of people and pets, of course. And the carcass of the other wild animal, or the mountain lion, was handed over to state wildlife officials. So that... Yeah, we get wildlife around here, guys. You got to be careful, with your pets and everything else. And that's why I say I've, the wife and I have always thought, well, wouldn't it be great to live out in the middle of nowhere? Have a little house out somewhere and, open lands and fields and everything. And I thought, gee, I wonder how long the dogs and the cat would last out there with mountain lions and whatever else is out there, bears and
bald eagles.
Yeah, bald eagles and the whole works. Yeah, they'll swoop down. And, I still wonder if an eagle's going to take one of our small dogs one of these days, but I don't know. Exactly. We'll find out, I guess. Or I hope I don't find out, I guess I should say. Let's take a phone call. 522-TALK is the number, 522-8255. Caller, you on the air. What's going on? Okay. Let's try this on the line. Caller, you're on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Hi, guys. This is Keith.
Hey, Keith. How are you?
Good morning, Keith.
I'm good. I've got a mountain lion story.
All right.
I live about a half a mile west of Jackrabbit Lane, on where those trailer courts are on Jackrabbit Lane.
Right.
About a half mile west of there.
Yeah.
Well, one of our neighbors went into his barn, and there was a mountain lion looking at him.
Wow.
And another neighbor had a couple goats killed.
Mm-hmm.
Another neighbor, something scared his milk cow, and she wouldn't give milk for 2 days. And I'm pretty sure I lost a cat in my barn from a mountain lion.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just we're about 3 miles from the center of Belgrade.
Yeah.
So they're around.
Oh, they are. There's no question. Yeah. In fact, there was, I remember a couple of years ago, over at the Gallatin Park over there off Manley Road, they had postings of, to be careful, mountain lions were in the area. And that's right almost on the edge of town. So, and of course, we all know we've had bears in the high school and all over town.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, one quick story. I had a friend years ago that worked at Bridger Bowl. He worked on the ski lift, so he thought he'd have some fun. So he made up this story. The kids would come by, and he'd tell them, well, be careful, there's a mountain lion up there. And he just made up the story.
Well.
when he got home that night, it was all over the news. Yeah. Mountain lion been sighted at Bridger Bowl.
Right, yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, thanks for the call, Keith. Good to hear from you. All right. you can always. I think that's why. If there's too many tourists in town, you can always tell them. I would go to the movies at night if I were you. The mountain lions kind of come out, and the bears are on Main Street. So I'd go to Butte. Butte's safer.
That's right. Exactly. It's just a big pit.
It's just a big pit over there. Nobody wants to be there, so that's why you. Let's see. We get wildlife in our area because what used to be their hunting territory is now subdivision. Yeah, that's true. As we expand into their territories, I feel sorry for the wildlife in California. Montana is starting to feel the same thing. Let's see. My joke about Joe Walsh taken too seriously. Steve-O, let's do a show together, signed Jerry. Yeah. Well, if I ever get the job, I'll put on the Steve and Jerry show on Saturdays or something. Let's see. Shane laughs at GM losing to Trump's trade war. Trump's daddy taught him how to pay off politicians, and bone spurs got him off. So, well, if you got bone spurs, why shouldn't you get off? What's wrong with that?
That's right.
So winning the trade war means China will buy more soybeans than they can eat to equal what they export. I don't think I export much in the way of soybeans.
No, but, you should go look it up before you make comments like that. In 2017, GM sold 4.4 million vehicles in China. A third more than the 3 million they sold in the United States. So, I mean,
it's not 70% more.
Yeah, and so all your president's saying is it's great that we can sell to China, but they put these tariffs on and just make them very expensive, and it's unfair. That's
So winning the trade war means China will buy more soybeans than they can eat. They're starving as we speak. So.
Well, and there's a perfect example again. It's not a trade war. It's a treaty negotiation. So call it what it is.
Yeah. The low bid for the Four Corners wastewater plant was $11.8 million. The existing plant regularly exceeds its 300,000 gallon per day capacity. The Chronicle was obviously given incorrect information. The public was told the new plant would cost $4 to $5 million. Also, the district is exceeding their water right limit by a significant amount due to the incompetence of the board and their professional staff. Costs have skyrocketed. Well, no surprise there. Trump understands trade like he understands fidelity. Fools trust him. Economists say he doesn't get it. Sad. Well, I don't know. The results speak for themselves. So.
Well, I like that response. Nothing but animosity there.
Yeah. Well, pretty much. Yeah.
A new word.
Well. So far, it's working. So, but we'll see what happens with these negotiations that are coming up. So that'll be coming soon because September 1st they got to get some talks going before September 1st when these other tariffs kick in. So we'll see how that plays out. Still, I got a half hour to go. We'll be back with more right after the news at the bottom of the hour. So stay tuned and. Give us your calls, comments, text, app chat, whatever. We'll be right back. I just said whatever, Shane. What does that mean? I have no idea what that means. We'll be right back. 25 minutes before the top of the hour. It's Monday, August 26, 2019, 55 degrees outside. We're looking for a high of around 70 today, so pretty warm, or not so warm for this time of year. We should be somewhere in the high 80s or 90s or what have you. So I don't know. It's something, yeah. Let's see. From our text line, 478-8298, Shane is a bigger Trump sycophant than Hannity. Wow. There you are, Shane.
Wow.
Let's see. A response to Jerry and Steve-O having a show together. Yes, Jerry, you would have to name the show something other than the Tom and Jerry Show. That name already taken for another cartoon show. So that would be interesting, wouldn't it? Let's see. So Fox News Radio claims Trump is lying about China. No way. He never lies. Mexico paid for a wall that was just completed ahead of schedule. She's locked up. Obamacare has been replaced. So, well, those are all issues that could happen. They just haven't happened yet. So, good deal.
Nice call.
Nice call. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, we'll persevere on, I guess, with all kinds of stuff we've still got to talk about. There is a sanctuary for sled dogs, the Mountain Angel Animal Sanctuary in North Glaxonbury. Dogs around 9 years old are retired from sled duty, and they go to this place for adoption. And so it's been about 9 years that they've been recycling retired sled dogs through this facility. So having just adopted a dog from the Humane Society myself 3 weeks ago, we are all in favor of that, certainly. Anybody that can provide a home to a animal that a working dog that hasn't is still certainly an animal that can be an asset to a home. We should embrace that, I think.
Entirely.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing that's going on, Shane, and this is pretty unusual, France and the Amazon are at it. France on Friday accused Brazil's president of having lied to French leader Emmanuel Macron and threatened to block a European Union deal with South American states, including Brazil. Ireland also joined in the threat of possible economic repercussions for Brazil and its South American neighbors, starkly illustrating how the Amazon is becoming a battleground between Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro and increasingly critical government alarmed with vast swaths of new rainforests are going up in smoke. So I don't know. I guess it's kind of refreshing that somebody else is having problems besides us. Somebody else can't get along.
Look, the situation in the Amazon is similar to what goes on every year in Southern California.
Yeah.
The summer comes, the grasses all dry out, then they burn, and then over the winter they grow again. And what's happening in the Amazon is terrible, but it's the grasslands that are burning. They've dried out, and the wet season's coming, and they will regrow. But they have to make a big story about it. The deforestation to grow these grasslands has already occurred, and it's just one of these things that. I feel is just badly represented and not spoken to very well with the media.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. They've been battling back and forth over this. I don't know if France and Ireland feel they're deliberately setting the fires to get more money or what. But
the farmers burn them. I mean, it's not much different than what farmers do in North America, where they till the land after a season and they don't use it for another season. The other thing about this is that the soil in that part is very, very bad because of the tropical growth that has occurred over millions of years. And these grasses burning are, they're replenishing the soil. So it's a natural event. It's not, it's just not really well spoken to. It's very sad.
Well, it hasn't been. We've been talking about the fires going on there for quite a while, but it's. We hadn't heard this. We hadn't heard this France and Ireland deal popping up though, due to it.
And I talked to my daughter in Australia, and they have this issue every year: massive fires of grasslands because of the dry season. I mean, this occurs all over the planet. The Amazon is not unique to this situation.
All right, we got to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane following these important words. 17 minutes for the top of the hour. It's Monday, August 26, 2019. We get the Rush Update coming up in a few minutes. And from our text line, 478-8298, typical politician, promise accomplishments in first term when failed, ask for another term. Suckers vote for their lies over and over. We are suckers. Well, I'm looking at the Democratic field, and if you think there's somebody there that's going to be better, by all means vote for them. But I will tell you, we did get a tax cut. We did get a massive increase in regulations. We also got over 100 judges appointed to the courts, and we have opportunity zones around the nation. We also had the Jerusalem, the Israeli ambassador moved into Jerusalem.
Embassy.
Yeah, or embassy rather. Yeah, the embassy moved. We also had. What was the other one? Right to try.
Jobs produced.
Yeah, right to try. Well, I don't put much in jobs, but anyway, right to try was done, and also first step was also done. So that's not bad for a first term, I would say.
Yeah, it's amazing. I just want to make a comment about the Amazon. They talk about it producing 20% of the global oxygen, but the forests of North America produce enough oxygen to support all humans on the planet. So again, you need to read this stuff.
Yeah,
check out the research.
Yeah, I was going to say we're pretty prolific here as well. So, in fact, we planted 4 trees in our front yard when we moved in.
That's right, and BC alone has a larger forest than Brazil, and more diversity of animals in our forests than Brazil. So I mean, yeah, you just have to read stuff about that.
That's right. All right. 522 Talk is the number. 522-8255. Calling on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Morning, Tom and Shane. It's Mike. Hey, I just want to make a prediction, and then I'll throw out one stat. You won't be voting for Trump next year. It'll either be Pence and Nikki Haley or another person. And then the stat I want to throw out is Trump's rolling back of emissions on cars will cost us $480 billion in extra fuel costs.
Okay.
His rollback on what did you say?
The Trump wanting to roll back the emissions will cost us $480 billion in extra fuel costs. And I'm not sure if that's over a 10-year period. I forgot to check how long that was for, but
okay.
And then the forest, they burn them forests, and they can only range their cattle on there for 1 year is all it's good for. And a forest doesn't grow back after a fire in 1 year, Shane.
No, he's talking about the grass. He's talking about the grass growing back in a year.
Well, they
forest.
burn the forest to range their cattle is what they do.
Yes, of course. That's why they have all the grass growing down there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they've already destroyed their forest. Which seems really dumb to me to burn it when you could probably harvest the wood and at least use the wood. That seems really ridiculous.
Yeah.
But that's my points for the day, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, thanks for the call.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. From our text line, what would happen to the value of our dollar versus China's if they paid off all bonds to us? Well, that'd be a great thing if they did pay off all bonds to us. So they wouldn't do anything to the dollar other than strengthen it, probably.
Well, but that's not. They don't pay off the bonds.
No, they don't.
They hold the bonds to collect interest. If they tried to sell them, the Fed's already disposed of $1.5 trillion in bonds they bought from banks during the quantum easing era. So now they're in a position to buy any amount of bonds they want from anybody, including China.
Yeah, so it wouldn't affect us at all. I mean,
No.
Yeah, the investment in the America, and that's what a bond is. That's
$1.4 trillion.
Yeah.
The Fed sold. Yeah.
Yeah, that's selling our bonds is an investment in the United States. And, as I've always said, we, they buy our bonds and, they can't take dollars to the bank in China. So they got to make it, or they can't pay their people in dollars, so they got to take it to the bank and convert it into dollars. Then they send them back to us to buy our bonds, and we buy satellites to spy on them. So they pay for that themselves. So they theoretically have paid for the wall.
And I just want to make this comment real quick. You know, the largest equity market now in the world is currencies, because there's more money in it and every day on a leveraged basis. And the Chinese joining the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. It's a floating currency like everyone else's. So, you know, this comment about China raising the price of their currency is a bit of a no-mer, because, you know, it's the market that is raising it. Now, they can support it like every other country does, even Canada does. If the Canadian dollar drops too much, the Canadian government will step in and buy up currency to support its currency. So, you know, the same with China. You know, they'll step in with if they want, and they'll buy up currency. Now, that does cause the price to go up. But traders love that, because they can trade against it and make money. So,
well, that's it. Yeah, I was going to say, the currency traders will go home with a smile on their face. If,
that's right.
So, yeah, there's always a winner, no matter what you do. Yeah, there's always a winner somewhere. So, from our text line, 478-8298, women make more in daycare, modeling, sex work, etc. Plus, they own over 90% of American homes. Don't believe me? Try divorcing one. All right, that'll work. Nikki Haley would be fantastic, and I would agree with that. Look for Nikki Haley in 2024.
Absolutely. No question in my mind.
Yep.
And Bloomberg into 7 when Uncle Joe is gone.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if he gets in there or not. The person in charge at Greenpeace Brazil was formed. Let me start this over, because I'm not doing this at all. The person in charge of Greenpeace Brazil was filmed in an airplane flying over the fires, and from what I saw and heard on the newscast, it sounded like she was in favor to put the fires out, as if it is a crisis rather than it is left to burn policy. The worldwide libs push down our throats. So that may be it. I don't know.
Well, you know, gotta create guilt and fear, right?
Amen. Well, guilt and fear, Rush Limbaugh coming up. So
here we go.
He may create both. We'll be right back. Here's Rush. 5 minutes for the top of the hour. It's Monday, August 26, 2019, 57 degrees outside, and that means we're only going to have a high of about 70 today, and very cool for this time of year for us, but it's going to get more into the 80s later in the week, so we enjoy today while you can. So it's going to be nice. Let's see, from our text line, just imagine a grown adult like Nikki Haley in 2020. Easy win versus Trump, who embarrass America every day on Twitter, and us handing it to Biden. Well, if Biden beats Trump, I don't know. That's going to be pretty interesting, I think, if that were to happen. But, hey, I was wrong about Hillary. Maybe I'm wrong about Biden. I don't know. So, as a professional automotive technician, I can tell you firsthand that you need to tell that caller the excessive emission controls on modern cars are costing the public a small fortune to repair.
There you go.
And that may be true.
That's true. Yeah.
I don't know. I know... being in California, it was pretty expensive to put all the stuff on it, because you had to, before you could get a license, you had to, your license plate, you had to go get a smog test. So,
yeah, well, geez. Yeah, government.
Yeah, that's for sure. But man, how's this thing going to pass? My old cars when I was poor and young and ambitious.
Exactly.
Well, we're winding down here, Shane. I guess coming up, we've got to have some kind of talks with China before September 1st. So I guess they're going to plan that out pretty quickly. And we'll keep apprised of that this week as events unfold.
Well, I think that China will do a deal. I think I won't be surprised if it's by the end of the year. And the reason is Hong Kong. They have to deal with Hong Kong.
They got to do something with Hong Kong. All right.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get one more call in before we have to go. Caller, thanks for calling. You're on the air. What's going on?
Hey, good morning, guys. Ken here. For tomorrow, let's do a little bit of homework tonight and look at how do we monetize the debt. Like forgiveness, that's probably the worst way to do it.
Yeah.
But ways to monetize the debt, if we haven't been discussing that, let's take a look at that tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll put Shane on that. He's the money guy. Think you can figure out a way between now and tomorrow on how to monetize the debt, Shane?
Yeah, national lottery.
National lottery would work. That might be a good deal. Yeah, that'd pay it off quickly, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's the idea. We didn't have to wait till tomorrow.
No, I don't understand that at all, but we can explain it tomorrow. You're running out of time.
Amen. Yes, I am. All right. Hey, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Thanks for listening. All right, we got to go. That will do it for today. So, Shane, thanks a lot. Say goodbye to everybody.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you, Mayor. Talk to you tomorrow. And baby, be happy, be safe, everyone. God bless.
All right. That does it for us. So we'll see everybody tomorrow. Jeff Krause will be in at 8 o'clock tomorrow to talk more about whatever stupid things they're going to do tonight at the City Commission meeting. So we'll chat with Jeff tomorrow at the 8 o'clock hour. So stay tuned for that. And Shane and I'll be back tomorrow morning bright and early, 6 a.m.